Yeah, we've had a good week of practice so far, Sunday and Tuesday. Looking forward to getting out there today with the guys as well. It seemed like we're getting to a point after the bye week last week that we were able to get some guys a little more fresh and a little healthier. And I know everybody's excited about the opportunity to get out there and play this week against a very, very good opponent on the road in one of the better environments of all college football. So our guys are excited. They really are. And, I thought our defense played well last week and are excited about the opportunity to go against Johnny Manziel this week.
First up, we have Chip Howard of KZNE Radio.
Coach, it's a little unusual to have both starting quarterbacks from either team dinged up. Does that change your preparation for your own team, and does it change as you look at Texas A&M not quite knowing if Manziel might play?
Well, Manziel's playing. I don't think there's any doubt or question about that whatsoever. And then from our perspective, we didn't run a different offense on Saturday once we had to make a change, and we don't plan on doing anything different this Saturday. I mean, we are who we are. Obviously, you do some things and you find out what the guy that's running the offense is most comfortable with, and you run maybe a few more things like that. But for the most part, we kind of have an identity on offense and special teams. We started to create an identity on defense last week, and we'll go with that.
What's the biggest challenge facing the A&M offense?
Johnny Manziel. I think, the fact that they got great schemes in the passing game, they got great schemes in the running game. I think they've recruited extremely well there for a long time. But Johnny Manziel is the X factor, as everybody knows. I mean, everybody's seen it on TV. We've watched it on coaches' film and studied it. Everybody's had plans to try to stop or contain him and haven't had much success at doing it.
Thank you.
Next is Chase Goodbread of NFL.com.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about Andre Howe, perhaps matching up some with Mike Evans, and how you think he handles bigger receivers as a smaller corner. I know he did a pretty good job, a really good job against Moncrief, against Ole Miss at the beginning of the year, and I guess he gets to see Matthews in practice, who's fairly big himself. Can you just comment on his skill in that regard?
Yeah, I think he's a good-sized corner, and I think he's gone up against these guys. And like you say, the fact he goes up against Jordan Matthews every single day in practice, I think helps. I do think Mike Evans, he's listed at 6'5", and does a great job with the throw behinds and the jump balls and just making plays. When things are kind of a little frantic for Manziel, he throws the ball up to Mike Evans, and Mike Evans does a heck of a job of making plays for him. So it'll be a great challenge for Andre. I know he's excited about it.
Thanks.
Next is David Pascal of Chattanooga Times Free Press.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, David. How are you?
Fine, thanks. Kind of being 2 months into the season, you knew there would be a lot of uncertainty about the targeting rule. Just kind of wanted to get your thoughts of how that has gone so far. I know there were a couple of calls in the game last Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think there's been a whole lot of uncertainty. I mean, we went into this season knowing very, very clearly from the officials that we needed to make some changes in the game to protect our game and to protect, most importantly, the student athletes. So we all knew very clearly that any call that was in the gray area was going to get called, and that you were probably going to get the penalty, but you had the ability to take the ejection off. But that was very clearly stated to all of us. That's why we try to emphasize as much as we possibly can to tackle from the chest down. But, that's difficult to do because some of these kids have been tackling that way for the last, 10 years. So try to break habits overnight is going to be difficult. That's growing pain, but I think, what I think we realized when we had meetings about this is that we better embrace this change or it could have really, really negative ramifications on our game.
Moving forward, would you like to see, I know Georgia had an instance where their linebacker hit Krause. The player was allowed to stay in the game. The Georgia linebacker was allowed to stay in the game. Would you like moving forward for that penalty, for the officials to have the ability to remove the penalty as well after reviewing, or do you think that crosses a dangerous line?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we'll discuss these things in the off season, but the problem is then where does it stop? I mean, do you now every single penalty that's thrown, do you review it on tape and decide? Then you're going to get to a point penalties that aren't called, are they reviewed? I don't know. I think there was a major emphasis put in the off season the last 2 years about trying to make sure that our game is not too long as well, the speed of the game. All those things. So, I don't know. I think this was something that was we spent a lot of time discussing in the off season. We'll probably discuss it again, but this has changed, and we knew this was coming, and we need to embrace it.
Next is Josh Siegel, the Eagle.
Coach,
Hey, Josh, how are you?
What qualities
Hey, Josh, how are you?
Oh, hey, I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
What qualities do you think coaches like you and Coach Sumlin, younger coaches in the league, have, and why is the league gravitating towards hiring younger coaches?
I don't know. I can't speak on that. I haven't done any research about that. I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention. My focus has been on Vanderbilt. My focus has been on Texas A&M. I can talk about Kevin. I've known him for a long time, and I see the job he's doing there. I think he's very, very passionate about what he does. I think he does a great job of relating very well with his staff and relating well with the players, and uses that ability to get the most out of the people around him. I think that's what I see in Kevin, and he's done it for a long time in a lot of different places, and I have tremendous respect for him.
And one more, Coach. Coach Sumlin said that you guys keep in contact. What's your relationship with him? And
well, we were both. He was a graduate assistant at Washington State before I was, so we've kind of known each other for a long time. Just kind of similar trees, in terms of how we both kind of came up in this profession and kind of have stayed in touch. We don't talk on the phone a whole lot, but we'll shoot each other texts from time to time. Or when he first came into the league, he made a call about SEC meetings and things like that. Just what's the SEC meetings going to be like this? So we just kind of use each other as a reference, but we don't talk a whole lot. It's just I have tremendous respect for him and what he's done. He's a few years ahead of me in this profession, and we both reach out to each other from time to time.
Next is Mark Weiser, the Athens Banner-Herald.
Hey, James.
Hey, Mark. How are you, man?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Hey, what type of adjustments did you guys make defensively against Georgia with Todd Gurley not playing and their offense missing some playmakers at receiver?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it wasn't really adjustments to Georgia. We made adjustments just in general based on how people had been attacking us. Tweaked a few things. I'm obviously not going to get into the specifics right now because that wouldn't really bode well for us and would be an advantage to our future opponents. But we went back and said, how are people attacking us? What are they doing? How can we challenge more routes? How can we make sure that we're more competitive play in and play out? And made some adjustments. I don't think there's any doubt that everybody at this point in the league, in the SEC, it's that point of the year where everybody's banged up, and people are losing good players, and that factors in. There's no doubt that factors into how you decide that you're going to try to stop or attack people.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Coach, we'll finish you up with Danny Brewer, the Rutherford Reader.
Coach, how are we doing today?
Good, Danny. How are you?
Fantastic. Talk about Robinette and him stepping in like he did and doing what he did as a redshirt freshman.
It was just funny. I was just talking to Larry Leathers, our sports information director. He calls him Pattonette. We do that a lot around here. But Patton's a great kid. We recruited him for a reason. I mean, he's the perfect fit for what we're trying to do at Vanderbilt. You're talking about a guy that won 3 state championships in high school, was the Gatorade Player of the Year. I think only lost maybe 3 games. Came from a really good high school program. And we feel like when you're trying to build a program and teach a culture of winning, the best way to do it is to recruit really good players that come from winning programs. They understand the type of commitment, work ethic it takes. You're also talking about a guy that got a 36 out of 36 on the ACT, a 4.0 out of 4.0 GPA. The whole package, the body type you're looking for, the family, background you're looking for. just a great fit for us, and that's what we see at practice every single day. That's what we see with his preparation. He's a pre-med major doing extremely well in school, and when we make comments like, hey, you better prepare as if you're the starter, Patton does that. And when he got his opportunity and his number was called, he stepped in and did a good job. Now, that was a half of football. He needs to come out and build on, the things that he did well last week and limit some of the mistakes that he made.
Coach, on the other side of the football, Aaron Murray, all-time leader in total yardage last week. Johnny Manziel, defending Heisman Trophy winner this week. It doesn't get any easier, does it?
The SEC is brutal. There's no doubt about it. And I think one of the things you're really seeing right now is, the quarterbacks. I mean, we got great quarterbacks in this league right now across the board. Guys that are playing at a very, very high level and allowing their guys to be successful. But that's what you sign up for when you commit to playing in a school in the SEC as a recruit, and that's what you sign up for when you decide to come and coach at one of these institutions. And I think that's what makes it so exciting week in and week out for our players and our coaches.